Lesson 266.
Rose left school when she was 17 years old and went to college for a year to learn to type. She passed her examinations quite well and then went to look for work. She was still living with her parents. A lot of people were looking for typists at that time, so it was not difficult to find interesting work. Rose went to several offices, and then chose one of them. It was near her parents' house. She thought, I'll walk there every morning. I won't need to go by bus. She went to the office again and said to the manager, I want to work here, but what will you pay me? We'll pay you £27 now, the manager answered, and £30 after 3 months. Rose thought for a few seconds before she answered. Then she said, all right, then I'll start in 3 months' time.
Lesson 267.
Mr. Day was a teacher at a school in a big city in the north of England. He usually went to France or Germany for a few weeks during his summer holidays, and he spoke French and German quite well. But one year Mr. Day said to one of his friends, I'm going to have a holiday in Athens. But I don't speak Greek, so I'll go to evening classes and have Greek lessons for a month before I go. He studied very hard for a month, and then his holidays began and he went to Greece. When he came back a few weeks after, his friend said to him, Did you have any trouble with your Greek when you were in Athens, Day? No, I didn't have any trouble with it, answered Mr. Day, but the Greeks did.
Lesson 268.
Mr. Pierce liked shooting ducks very much. Whenever he had a free day, he went out shooting with his friends. But one summer he said to himself, I've never been to the mountains. My holidays are going to begin soon, so I'm going to go to the mountains and shoot deer. They're more interesting than ducks, I think. So when his holidays began, Mr. Pierce went to the station, bought his ticket, and was soon in the mountains. He got out at a small station and walked through fields and forests for a few kilometers. Then he saw a farmer in a field. Good morning, Mr. Pierce said to him. Are there any deer here? Well, answered the farmer slowly, there was one last year, but all the gentlemen from the town came and shoot at it, and it's gone somewhere else now, I think.
Lesson 269.
Mr. Leonard was 23 years old and not very rich. He was not married and he lived in 2 rooms in a small house in a city. Every summer, Mr. Leonard went down to the sea for a holiday. He stayed in small cheap hotels, but he always wanted to have a clean, tidy room. He hated dirty places. One summer a friend of his said, Go to the Tower Hotel in Whittlesea. I went there last year, and it was very nice and clean. So Mr. Leonard went to the Tower Hotel in Whittlesea. But there was a different manager that year. The new manager took Mr. Leonard to his room. The room looked quite nice and clean, but Mr. Leonard said to the manager, Are the sheets on the bed clean? Yes, of course, they are, he answered angrily. We washed them this morning. Feel them. They're still damp.
Lesson 270.
2 years after Tom and Elizabeth married, they went to live in a small flat in a big city. They were both quite young, Tom was 26 and Elizabeth was 22. Tom worked in a bank and Elizabeth worked in a big office. Elizabeth always cooked dinner when they got home, and when they had meat, Tom always cut it up when they sat down to eat. While Tom was cutting the meat up one evening, Elizabeth said to him, When we were first married, Tom, you always gave me the bigger piece of meat when you cut it, and you kept the smaller one for yourself. Now you do the opposite, you give me the smaller piece and keep the bigger one for yourself. Why do you do that? Don't you love me anymore? Her husband laughed and answered, Oh, no, Elizabeth. It isn't that. It's because you've learned to cook now.